Today, we will review the Sunnyside evaluation system. All certified teaching staff will be evaluated this year using the Sunnyside Rubric. The Teacher Evaluation Handbook has again been updated, and a link will be sent out to all certified employees so that they can maintain their own copy. The information we cover is in the handbook for certified teachers to always reference. The orientation today will have the following covered: state legislation, district policy, key components and rating scales, and we will also outline the evaluation process, timelines, and forms for the 2017-18 school year. District policy mandates that a district evaluation committee must be developed to complete any work or updates related to the teacher evaluation handbook or process. The committee members must consist of the following: teachers, principals, and central administrators. The 17-18 committee members are listed on this slide. The committee will continue to meet throughout the school year. State legislation mandates that all districts throughout the state of Arizona are required to include in their current teacher evaluation instruments quantitative data on student academic progress that accounts for or between 33% and 50% of the evaluation outcomes. Within the Sunnyside evaluation tool, student growth accounts for 34% of the total process. All districts were also required to implement this new evaluation system in the 2013-14 school year. District policies have to be implemented yearly in relationship to the evaluation process. In August, the orientation on the teacher evaluation system must occur in the first 3 weeks of school or within 3 weeks of an individual's hire date. Itinerant staff who are assigned to multiple sites must be assigned one qualified evaluator by the first student contract day. Yearly, the superintendent takes a list of qualified evaluators to the governing board for approval. Qualified evaluators must be board approved prior to completing their first formal observation. Key components of the evaluation process. Student growth can be classroom level and/or school level data, which equates for 34% of the evaluation. Teaching performance is evaluated using the Sunnyside Rubric and equates for 66% of the process. When you combine the 34% for student growth and the 66% for teaching performance, the total score is worth 100 points. The final evaluation report equates to 100 points. The evaluation process also consists of a pre-conference, informal observations, and formal observations. A pre-conference is optional. However, it must be held if either the evaluator or the teacher requests a pre-conference. Informal observations, the evaluator must conduct at least 2 informal observations within the year. One must occur before any formal observation. Formal observations must be based on a complete and uninterrupted lesson. This can be bell to bell in a secondary classroom and/or a minimum of 30 to 45 minutes of uninterrupted instruction at any level. Observations for non-continuing teachers in their first, second, or third year have 2 formal observations. One formal observation can be unannounced. Continuing teachers have 1 formal observation. Formal observations must be 60 calendar days apart. Formal observations may not take place 2 days before any scheduled period in which school is not in session for 1 week or more, unless agreed upon by the teacher and qualified evaluator. If a teacher is not satisfied with how the lesson proceeded during a formal observation, the teacher has 2 days to request that the observation be rescheduled. Teachers are required to submit a self-review within 5 days after a formal observation. Principals are required within 5 days after a formal observation to provide written feedback to the teacher. This can be a draft of the final report. A final evaluation report conference must be held at least 5 working days before the end of either semester. If an area of concern is recognized during an informal or formal observation, the evaluator must communicate in writing within 5 days of the observation. Identification of Group A and B teachers will remain the same. To be identified as a Group A teacher, you must have 1 year of consistent data to qualify. There are 2 levels that qualify elementary and middle school teachers into Group A, ELA and math teachers. In the elementary level, 4th, 5th, and 6th grade teachers qualify because of state testing. Kindergarten, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade teachers are Group B teachers. Middle school level content area teachers who teach ELA and math do qualify for Group A. All other content and elective teachers are Group B teachers in the middle levels. All at the high school level, because the state test is given at the 10th grade and not again unless the student fails, teachers don't have yearly consistent data. So for now, all high school teachers are Group B teachers. The new Sunnyside Rubric is broken into 4 domains. Each domain has 18, the 4 domains have 18 descriptors, and there are 72 indicators throughout the 4 domains. The 4 classifications are ineffective, developing, effective, and highly effective. The classifications are state mandated and as well as federally mandated. The rubric is color-coded. Domain 1 is design and preparation and highlighted in green. Domain 2 is classroom culture and structure and has a blue highlight at the top. Domain 3, main focus is instruction and is orange highlighted at the top. And Domain 4, professional responsibility and contributions, is the last domain and at the top highlighted yellow. On this slide, the top arrow identifies the domain name, which is always in the left top corner. Under the domain, the descriptors are listed for that domain. And for each descriptor, there are 4 indicators under each classification. The final evaluation report consists of the following exhibits. Exhibit C, which is the student academic progress, which is 34 points. Exhibit D is the total score for the Sunnyside Rubric on the teacher performance. Exhibit E is a teacher performance form and designates the final rating the teacher receives for the 66% on the rubric. Exhibit F is the final summative report, which is where the final classification is determined, which again are highly effective, effective, developing, and ineffective. Exhibit C does have some updates this year. Last year, Exhibit C was divided into 2 sections, and each section was allotted 17 points. 17 points will still be focused on Exhibit G, which is the professional growth plan. All certified employees are required to develop and complete a professional development plan. The other 17 points must be focused on student growth determined by AZ Merit. The District Evaluation Committee will meet to determine how this portion will be distributed. The committee's recommendation will then be shared out to all certified staff and leadership. Slide 15 is a snapshot of the Exhibit D that will be used to determine teacher rubric points. Snapshot of Exhibit E is the teacher performance form that determines the 66% and classification for the rubrics section of the tool. Exhibit F is used to determine the final classification. The Professional Development Plan, which is Exhibit G, is for all certified staff. Every certified plan should have two goals. One goal should focus on the site SIP plan, and the second goal can be individualized. Both goals should be supported with data to show student growth. Teachers should have professional development plans developed and reviewed by their qualified evaluator by the end of the first quarter. The Exhibit G form is in True North logic. The Professional Remediation Plan. Teachers who have been ranked ineffective on their final summative evaluation for the 2016-17 school year will have their first formal observation in late August or early September. If after the first formal they are still ranked ineffective, they will be placed on a professional remediation plan that will run for 45 calendar days. Reminder, a major change in legislation for teachers who are currently at a continuing teacher status. If a continuing teacher has been designated after an evaluation within the lowest performance classification, which is ineffective, for the 2016-17 school year, they will become a probationary teacher for the sequential year. The second formal observation will occur in December. If the teacher is still identified as ineffective, the next step is to place the teacher on an instructional plan of action, and they will be noticed with inadequate classroom performance. The timeline is very similar to the remediation plan. They will be placed on a 45-day plan, and if they were evaluated for the second time in December, that can start in January. They will have a third observation after the 45-day plan is complete, and then their final summative report will determine how they will move forward, with either being terminated or being given a contract for the following year. The appeal process. Step 1 of the appeal process is in the teacher's hands. The teacher must request an appeal in writing within 10 working days after the teacher receives their final summative report. The appeal needs to state in detail the grounds for why they want an appeal, and they also need to request a meeting to discuss their concerns. The qualified evaluator then meets with the teacher within a 5-day window after receiving the written request for an appeal and meeting. Within 10 working days of the meeting, the qualified evaluator shall issue a written decision regarding the appeal. The written decision shall state the basis for the conclusion reached in their decision. The teacher may appeal the qualified evaluator's appeal decision to the superintendent within 5 days after receiving the qualified evaluator's decision. HB 2823 required that starting in the school year 2014-15, no less than 33% of Prop 301 monies, which is bucket 2, may be tied to a teacher's individual evaluation. The governing board approved that 33% of its 301 funding as paid for performance. The teachers who fall into the following categories, developing, effective, and highly effective, on the teaching performance section, which is the 66% rubric score, will receive a pay for performance stipend in late August. This will continue for the 17-18 school year as well. In closing, I want to thank you for your time today in reviewing the district's evaluation system. I want to remind you that it is your professional responsibility to read the handbook and educate yourself on the policies and procedures within the evaluation system. As a certified teacher, start gathering evidence throughout the year to support the criteria within each of the 4 domains. Remember, this is a continuous process. If you have any questions, please seek answers so that you have a clear understanding of how the process will work this school year. Thank you very much for your time again.